This is QB Unfiltered. I'm Coach Keith Simons. It's Flashback Friday, recounting 50 years of playing and coaching football. Tonight, me and Kevin Costner. It's 1998. I just completed my third season as head coach at Santa Rosa Junior College. It's winter, and I get a phone call in my office one day from the Sonoma County Film Institute. And that is an offshoot, a local offshoot of a Hollywood studio. And the woman on the other line tells me that they're going to be filming a movie in Sonoma County in the spring, and was wondering if I would be interested in being in the movie as a high school football coach in the 1950s. And I would need one of my assistant coaches and about 10 to 15 of my players to participate in this Hollywood movie. And I said, hell yes, I'll do it. Now, the director of this movie is Lawrence Kasdan. Lawrence Kasdan is a big time screenwriter slash director in Hollywood. He wrote Raiders of the Lost Ark. He wrote The Bodyguard. He wrote 4 Star Wars movies. He directed The Big Chill, and he directed Silverado, among others. So he's a big deal. And I was really looking forward to this. The name of the movie was Mumford, Mumford. It's going to be filmed in and around Sonoma County, and they're going to do the football scene at Anley High School, which is in Sebastopol, which is a city just south of Santa Rosa. So they send up their production team with their stunt coordinator, who's a pretty well-known dude in Hollywood, first name of Charlie. And we take the players and we go out on Bailey Field, our football stadium for Santa Rosa Junior College. And he sets us up to run through a scripted, choreographed play. The only problem is the play is really lame, really lame. And I said, Charlie, I think I can do better. Take a look at this. And we set it up to where we're running a toss sweep out wide, and we've got a safety coming downhill to make the play, and we've got one of our receivers that comes inside and lays a vicious crackback block on him. So you get a lot of action, a lot of speed, guys running to the outside, but you also get this big time collision and hit that's going to be really cool to watch on film. And so I showed it to him. We did it a couple of times, and he goes, you know what? Yours is a hell of a lot better than mine. That's the one we're going to go with. And I'll tell you what, Coach, because you set this up and you scripted and choreographed this play, we're going to give you credit at the end of the movie as being in on the stunt coordination. Cool. The movie is going to be shot in early spring in Sonoma County, and you're looking at weather that is in a transitional phase around that time of the year. And what I mean by that is it gets kind of chilly in the evening time. And our scene that we're going to shoot, this football scene, is going to be at night under the stars. So I thought. So about a week prior to filming, Al Scott, who's my offensive line coach and is going to be the assistant coach in the movie, and my players, we go down to a warehouse in Sebastopol, which is wardrobe. And it's just this big, big space with just tons and tons of retro clothes from like the 50s. And they've got a athletic slash sports little section back there. And the lady that's in charge of wardrobe says, "Hey, just go back there. We've got some coaching attire. Pick out what you want your character to be wearing." So I took a red windbreaker jacket, a red baseball cap that looked like it had been slept on underneath someone's mattress for about 3 years. The bill of it was creased like the A-frame on a roof, and the whistle around my neck. I never ever wear whistles, but I wore one for this. And then I said, "Can I wear my own khakis for this?" And she said, "Yeah, that'll work." And so when I showed up for the day of filming, I had my pants rolled up at the bottom like Joe Paterno used to wear, with the white socks and the black coaching shoes. It looked really cool. And Al Scott had a nice costume going as well. Now, the day of the filming for us was on a Saturday, and we weren't going to go until the evening, like around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, but we had to be there at 7:30 in the morning to check in. And our day on Saturday consisted of sitting around, not doing anything, eating, sitting around, not doing anything, watching some other scenes being filmed, eating. So they fed us 3 times. It was pretty good. It was good chow. Sitting around, bored, watching some of the other scenes, trying to get a peek at Martin Short, who was the star of the movie. I never did see him, but I was on the lookout for him. And the weather's great. It's probably about 60 degrees, upper 50s, 60, and clear skies. And I'm thinking, this isn't going to be too bad, because when the sun goes down and it's dark out, nighttime, the temperature in the spring in Sonoma County drops. And it drops probably into the low 50s to upper 40s. But we're good. We're good. So nighttime rolls around, and then it was our turn. Now, they set up the play on the 30-yard line. It was the north end of the football stadium on the 30-yard line. 70 yards downfield is Lawrence Kasdan, the director, and he is under a tent, and he's got a parka on, and he's got gloves on, and he's nice and toasty, and he's under a tent, and he's 70 yards away from where we're going to film this. Now, I was pretty saucer-eyed looking around because I'm interested in cinema and how they make movies and all that. And so we're getting a firsthand look at the behind-the-scenes stuff. So I didn't notice the fact that there were four water towers being set up down by the 30-yard line. These water towers were like oil derricks in Texas, where the oil comes up and sprays out over the top of the derricks. That's what these were all about. And I finally figured out what in the hell these were probably about 15 minutes before we did the first scene. And so what I thought was going to be an enjoyable evening, being a Hollywood star, was going to be a brutal evening, freezing my ass off under rain towers. So it was going to rain. Like I said, the scene set up on the 30-yard line. They start the water towers. Now, do you think that they told us ahead of time that we were going to be doing this in the rain? No. Do you think that the temperature dropped down to the mid to low 40s when it got dark? Yes. Annalise Field is natural grass. Do you think that it holds water well when it gets wet? No. So the field in no time was sloppy, mushy, and wet, and it was cold. No big deal. You know, we've got this thing scripted and choreographed. We're going to nail it and get out of there. So we've got an assistant director who's on a walkie-talkie talking to Lawrence, who's 70 yards away under the tent wearing his parka and gloves. And Al Scott and myself are standing on the sideline. We've got a couple players next to us, and we hear action. Snap the ball, quarterback reverse pivots, pitches the ball. The running back now is coming right at us, and here comes the safety downhill, and here comes the receiver inside and just blasts his ass with a crackback block. And then another defensive guy tackles the ball carrier, and they end up on the ground right at my feet, Al Scott and my feet on the sideline, at which point now I've got my SAG card moment with my line of, yeah, which I execute awesomely. Yeah. And they say, cut. And our players are high-fiving, and we're feeling good about that. And the assistant director comes over and says, yeah, just have a seat on the bench. You know, Mr. Kasdan has to look at a replay and figure out what we're going to do next. So there's a conversation on the walkie-talkie, and the assistant director walks over and tells the assistant director, who then walks over and tells me, you know, that shot was great, but there was a gum wrapper right at your feet at the end of that scene. So Mr. Kasdan wants to do another take. And I'm thinking to myself, how realistic is that, to have a freaking gum wrapper on a football sideline of a high school game? Okay, so let's do another one. So we line up. The water is still coming down. Now, you might want to ask yourself, was this a light, misty rain? No. They turned that sucker on full blast. It was coming out in big, giant drops. It was a lot of water. So here we go. Take number 2, snap the ball, reverse pivot, pitch. Here comes the safety downhill. Receiver comes inside, knocks the shit out of him with a crackback block. We make the tackle again, right at my feet, and I look down. Yeah. Not quite as good as the first take. Not quite as good. And the assistant director is talking to Kasdan on the walkie-talkie, gets his marching orders, comes over and tells the assistant, who comes over and tells me, Mr. Kasdan says, let's do another one. We did this 9 times. And I'm going to tell you this, on the 9th one, it was the absolute worst take in the history of Hollywood movie making. We were so cold and shivering, and at that point didn't give a shit. Our players were going like in slow motion. That crackback block on the safety was like a little nudge. And when the guy got tackled at my feet, I went, yeah. And I didn't care what Kasdan had to say after that. You know, if he said that's a wrap, we're out of here, that would have been the greatest news we could have ever heard. So I think he finally realized that he wasn't going to get anything better. The best take that we had was the first one of the night. They turned the water towers off. The assistant director put her arm around me and walked me to the locker room. Like I said, attaboys, and you guys are great. And I can remember telling her, I said, you know what? I am never, ever going to do anything like this again in my life. And so the reason why I call this Me and Kevin Costner is I want you to look at this movie poster, The Big Chill. Do you see Kevin Costner in that movie poster? And this is what Kevin Costner did in The Big Chill. That's his wrist. Lawrence Kasdan cut him out of that movie on the final edit. Now I want you to look at the movie poster for Mumford. Do you see Coach Simons in that movie poster? And here is my contribution, according to Lawrence Kasdan, for the movie Mumford. Sitting on the editing room floor, me and Kevin Costner. That's my Friday flashback. This is QB Unfiltered. And remember, always throw the ball short to guys who can score. See ya.